Hello and welcome in Arc Risers. This is Rising Arc Manifesting and I am your host, Eric Goodell. So what does it mean to trust in our higher selves? What does it mean to trust in the universe? If we are the operant power of our reality, then why do we need to trust in anything? What even is our higher self? And how can we begin to trust it or follow its leadings? Well, I'm going to get into all of this and more. But first, I'd like to remind you to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that bell icon so you don't miss out on any future content. And also, coaching is available. I would like to help you understand manifestation on a deep level and work with you to help overcome your blocks and help you come to better understand yourself as the operant power, to confidently and boldly manifest what it is that you want. All of my links are in the description. In manifestation, when we talk about viewing yourself as the operant power of your life, when we talk about acknowledging yourself as the source, the wellspring for everything that shows up in your experience, upon analysis, it may make you feel a little bit lonely. If all that exists is your consciousness and everything that you perceive around you is only a projection of you, your consciousness, then that means that all there is, all that exists is you. And so all of the terms and all of the definitions that you have assigned to everything in your life, everything in your experience, has quite literally given these things meaning and purpose. Because without your belief in, without your adherence in these terms and definitions, these external circumstances, things and events and people, they don't have any inherent meaning. But realize that everything that shows up in your outer world, your 3D experience, is a representation of a higher dimensional reality. So when you acknowledge yourself as the God of your reality, you're acknowledging your God consciousness, which animates this 3D body, which gives life to this 3D body and everything around you. That this same operant power that is you is also everything and everyone. So that means that the other people in your experience, they're not NPCs or non-player characters, which is a popular term going around. They aren't empty shells. They are themselves extensions of God consciousness. They stand at the epicenter of their own realities and their own experiences. But the 3D constructs that we create through our perceptions of them is our means of communicating and sharing from our unique perspectives from within this collective consciousness. So things, people, circumstances, and events are all representations of a higher dimensional reality. They're shadows being cast by higher dimensional realities. And so as we experience them and interpret them and give definitions to them, and view ourselves in relation to them is what creates our experience of them. So one extremely important thing to remember is that when you view anything in your external world, that from this limited 3D vantage point, any judgment that you could make will not be based in reality because you're only judging a representation, that representation of a higher truth, which is put through the filter of the belief systems that you have placed upon it and placed upon your concept of self. So I want to introduce this concept, that you can introduce this idea into your awareness. The fact that you cannot properly understand anything you see. And this is without discrimination. There is not one thing that you perceive or see around you in your experience that you can properly understand from this limited 3D vantage point. And you might say to me, well, if I am the one giving the definitions and the meanings to everything, then how do I not understand anything that I see or perceive when I'm the one giving the meanings and the definitions? Realize that ultimate reality is completely unchangeable. It will always contain everything. It will always be a perfected unity. That great I am awareness at the center of everything, the first source and center, eternally existing in one perfect moment, the only moment that exists, the eternal now. So the meanings and the definitions that you place upon the things in your life define and shape the roles that they're going to play within your experience, within your individualized experience within God consciousness. This is your world, your experience, and as God consciousness, you give the meanings and the definitions to what is showing up. But everything in reality exists beyond definition. That perfected unity, that perfected whole, exists beyond all contrasts and differences. But realize that that ultimate God consciousness is conscious of every possible thing. It is fully conscious of the realization of all of your desires. It is fully conscious of all the alternative timelines, of all the alternative versions of you, and every single possible thing that you would want to bring into your life. And because it is a perfected whole, a perfected unity, creation is finished. Anything and everything within time and all of the possible timelines is already present, is already real, already exists in this one perfect moment. And time is a really good example here because we give meanings and definitions to time. We believe in time constraints, in schedules, in the difference between Monday and Friday. We believe in these things, and our belief gives them purpose. But from a higher dimensional perspective, this linear sequence of events within time is really all just happening right now. And so the meanings and the definitions that you give to your illusory experience within time, within the constructs of limitations, within the larger realm of expanded consciousness, we have many different levels that we can operate on, that we can associate with. And so remember, we are never alone on our manifestation journeys or in any aspect of our lives, because our higher dimensional selves are ever present. And so rather than allowing your beliefs and definitions to be put through the filters of your limited perceptions, you can bring your awareness back to this concept that you don't understand anything that you see, irregardless of what it is. And this may seem disempowering, but it's incredibly empowering because this allows you to reserve your judgment, or you can perceive your instinctual judgment and kind of step back from it and say, well, I don't understand it enough for this judgment to be valid. And you can simply choose to not give your energy to that judgment. And because all of reality is a perfected unity, you are always unconditionally supported. If you believe and agree with your negative belief systems and you decide to give them your power, then you will be supported in that endeavor. But if you can consciously acknowledge that you can't possibly understand from your limited perspective in the 3D, anything that's showing up in your reality, that offers you the opportunity to run it through the filter of your higher self. So rather than running these things through the filter of the perceptions of limitations and of lack and of separation, we can forego that judgment and we can appeal to our higher selves and we can say to ourselves with clear intention that I am not going to make any decisions by myself. Let's say that again. I am not going to make any decisions by myself. You can appeal to your higher self, which will work directly through you, through your subconscious, to aid you in discerning a more beneficial meaning, which is in line with the reality of the perfection of yourself, a more beneficial meaning which is more in line with the abundant nature of the universe and more in line with your highest good and your desires. Because remember that there is a bridge of incidents, this bridge of incidents that we cross within our time-based linear experience, which leads us to the fulfillment of our desires and our highest good, and our furthered connectivity with our higher selves, our true nature, God consciousness. But when you consciously decide to allow your terms and definitions to be run through the filter of your higher self, when you consciously decide to suspend your own judgment, you make space for the leadings of your higher dimensional self. You can help make that transition across your bridge of incidents a lot smoother, with a lot more positivity and assuredness, knowing that your higher dimensional nature is leading the way and not your egotistical third dimensional self with a limited view. So one practical way to do this in the moment would be to have inner conversations. When you make the statement, I am, that's an extremely powerful statement to make because all of existence is I am, that great I am. That great I am awareness, which is beyond definitions and contrasts and differences. When you say to yourself, I am already who I want to be. I am already where I want to be. Whether or not you can convincingly drum up an inner conviction that this is true, especially in a difficult moment, is completely irrelevant because you're just stating a fact. When you say, I am already what I want to be, I am unconditionally loved, I am unconditionally supported, you're just bringing your awareness back to reality. Whether in the moment that feels like a reality or not, it's that one unchangeable reality. So when we are faced by our own negative belief systems, we don't need to fight against them or push against them or shame ourselves for having them. They're just a natural part of this mortal existence. But we can acknowledge them as being helpful guides because within every limiting belief is a mentor which shows you something about yourself that you could benefit from seeing differently, which will then lead you to more of who you truly are, which will lead you more towards the perfection of your true self by looking at it and dealing with it, acknowledging it, and changing your definitions about yourself in relation to it. By understanding that from this limited perspective, you can't possibly understand it correctly, but the fact that you're experiencing it in a negative way immediately shows itself out as not being reality. It's showing you something that you're not. That's why it feels bad. It's out of harmony with who you are. And it's reminding you where you could better be placing your awareness. So remember that you are never truly alone on your manifestation journey. All of your experience is a manifestation. You are the one common denominator. You are the source for everything showing up. And as the operant power, you exist and act on so many different levels. And you have access to and can connect to yourself on any level that you can conceive of. And you are constantly, unalterably connected on levels that you can't even conceive of. But just know that that higher divine guidance is always available. It's available to you in every moment. You can't possibly ever be disconnected from it. And by recognizing and consciously acknowledging that your limited perceptions are not ultimate reality, and to ask your higher self for a clearer understanding of what this event, this circumstance, or this person represents for your highest good, or what the best possible beneficial meaning that it could have for the fulfillment of your desires, or for you being who you want to be, where you want to be, what you want to be. You can always find that guidance with your higher self by suspending your judgments. Or since we're already pre-programmed to give judgments, you may find that you've already given out a judgment. But all you have to do is reserve your judgment on your judgments. You can say to yourself, well, I clearly don't understand what this truly represents, especially since I'm viewing it or feeling it in a negative way. So I'm going to suspend my judgment. I'm going to pass it on to my higher self. I'm going to run it through that higher dimensional filter rather than my own limited ego-based filters. And I'm going to get back a more beneficial meaning. I'm going to make more peace with this energy system that these circumstances and events are representing. So that like pendulums that swing, that energy isn't going to keep coming back with that same negative impact in different forms and in different ways. Because I have gone to the source. I have allowed my negative judgments to be neutralized by the fact of the reality of who I am as a perfected divine being, Arc Risers, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do not forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you won't miss out on any future content. And please don't forget that coaching is available. All of my links are in the description. Until next time, and as always, never stop rising.
What's that? You're still here? Well, that must mean that you're in need of a notebook, particularly a groovy notebook where you can do your scripting, write your affirmations. You can do your journaling. I mean, look how gorgeous these things are. So pick one up today. You get a beautiful notebook, and you help me spread the good news of conscious creation. It's a win-win. So yeah, what are you waiting for? And remember, never stop rising.